Hey, Vicky, good to see you. Philippines in the house.
Yeah, we're breaking the mold. Blink, IO in the lab. Turning test suites gold. Drop the code, drop the stress, drop the old.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Test Guild and Blink.io's free training on zero-touch playwright automation on board any project with AI in minutes. It's great to have you all here today. All right, so before we get started, for anyone that's new, before we get to our awesome experts, we like to make this as interactive as possible, and the best way to do that is to chat. So what everyone's doing right now in that chat, tell me where you're all from. That's one way to participate. So I see Stephanie here, Caesar, Simo, Naresh. So we have all different countries. Hey, Daniela, good to see you all. Berlin's in the house, Philippines, Florida. So it's worldwide. Really great to have you all here. All right, so chat is where we chat among ourselves and you share your knowledge among your fellow attendees. Q&A and polls, if you want to ask questions to our experts, that's where you would put it under Q&A and polls. If there's a poll, let's say there's a poll that's live, you go into that tab as well to take the poll. Nashville, Tennessee. Awesome. Hey, Amanda. I'm in East Tennessee, closer to Knoxville. All right, we have Koa. Mark from Detroit. Awesome. All right. So chat is where we chat among ourselves. Q&A in polls is where you ask speakers, you ask questions to our experts. And to learn more is a very important tab as well. Make sure to click on the learn more to learn more about Blink.io. You have a bunch of awesome resources there, like an AI test engineer, and also how to transform your software testing with AI test engineers. They were built from the ground up with AI, so they really know their stuff. They were built for modern software. So if you haven't checked out Blink.io yet, highly recommend you do. Click on the learn more. All right, before we get into it, one thing, yes, this is being recorded. So if anyone asks, yes, it's being recorded. We'll send a link out in a day or so with the link to the recording, as well as links to all our awesome resources. So as I mentioned, if you haven't checked out Blink.io, click on the learn more tab, or in that email, you'll definitely have contact information for all our experts and also more resources for you to check out for them as well. All right, awesome. All right. Just to make sure everyone's fingers are warmed up and they're ready to go, give me a yes. A yes if you want to learn more about zero-touch playwright automation. What's that all about? How it can help you with your automation? I know Blink.io really is at the forefront of Playwright, and they're always bringing something new, so I'm really excited to see what they have to share today. So give me a yes if you want to learn more about Playwright automation, zero-touch. Hey, Christina. Oh, got a bunch of yeses coming to Stephanie, Vicky, Caesar, Amanda, David, Jay, Richard, yes. Gabriel says yes. All right, let's do it. All right, experts, let's go live. Hey, everyone, welcome back to the Guild.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you. Tal, you're on mute, just so you know. And Subnesh on mute as well.
Subnesh as well.
Hey.
Sorry. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Joe, for having us here. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. I'm always excited. There's always a lot of interest. We always get a lot of people registered. So the floor is all yours. And before I get into it, I forgot to ask, do you have a hard stop? If we have a lot of questions, I know Subnesh sometimes has to go.
Yeah, probably we'll have a hard stop, but we can leave around, 10, 15 minutes even, to try and cover all the questions at the end. So we should have enough time.
Awesome. All right. The Guild floor is all yours.
Great.
Okay, awesome. Great. So first of all, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm here with Rebecca, who's leading our marketing, and Subnesh, who's head of solutions and customer support. So we'll be sharing with you some of the exciting news of how AI can really light speed your Playwright test creation. The overall idea is really to try and expose you a little bit of what AI can do with Playwright. There's obviously tons of stuff that you're aware of, AI doing things like building websites with things like Lovable, or doing all sorts of AI chat. We also have in our website, an AI chat engine, which works great. But our focus today would be to show you how you can actually leverage AI to very quickly create top-notch Playwright test automation project, not just snippets or, stuff you need to otherwise process afterwards, but actually something that creates the full Playwright project for you. And one of the things that you'll see that it's not only that it can create the tests, it can also execute and analyze them, and also it's able to maintain them. So it really takes a lot of the headache off the test automation engineers worrying, and allows them to focus on more strategic things like test strategy and how to set realistic gates, QA gates for different product releases and so forth. Okay, so with that, we'll go through a quick presentation. It will be around not more than 10 minutes. Then we'll hand over to Sapnesh. We'll show you a live demo of basically in 2 minutes, he'll create a full test automation project, not him really, the AI test engineer. And after that, he'll basically be able to dive in and show you what was created, what you can see, what can be done, how it works, really a bit of an insider's view. And at the end, we'll leave, 10 to 15 minutes for any questions you may have. We'll try to relate also as we go. What is the difference between the AI test engineer? What's the big message compared to other things that you had in the past, like, all sorts of recorders, the Playwright recorder itself, and other things that were out there in the market? What is the big jump? Why do we think it's such a big message to the testing world? Okay, so Rebecca?
I'm going to start sharing my screen real quick. Give me a second. Let me know if you can see it.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay, excellent. All right. So really the idea is how you can very quickly onboard. So we'll be covering a few topics. First of all, we'll touch on how it works today. Today you do manual coding of Playwright. So the Playwright itself is then automate the test, but still the writing of the code itself is manual. What are the challenges, relating to speed, to ability to get good coverage and other aspects? A lot of these things you already know. These are, your reality today, the way you work. Then we'll touch on the Playwright recorder, why it is not enough. So what it does give, what is missing there, and really understand what are the gaps, why everyone is not just using the Playwright recorder and, creating tons of very good Playwright project. And last, we'll touch on how Playwright and AI can really why that is a winning combo. Why, when you match AI to Playwright, you're able to actually create very top level, top quality Playwright projects. Next, we'll touch on how you can very quickly, in 2 minutes, create the full Playwright project. And last, we'll touch on maintenance, how you can autonomously maintain Playwright projects using the AI. And then we'll go over to the live demo.
Perfect. All right. So thank you for joining us again. And before we get into the fun part, like Tal mentioned, Sapnesh is going to do the demo. We want to start talking a little bit about some of the challenges, the testing challenges with Playwright. Playwright is still a great tool, but building and maintaining large test suites still takes a lot of time. So creating tests manually, it's a little bit slow. Coverage often is incomplete, and every time the app changes, sometimes breaks. So teams end up spending hours fixing tests instead of focusing on the product quality. So that's something that we want to talk about a little bit more. And that's where AI comes in, like Dali mentioned. AI doesn't just click buttons. It actually understands your Playwright project. It reuses your team functions, and it follows your naming styles, and it creates tests that are clean and easy to maintain. So the big difference is that AI understands the purpose behind the test, not just the steps. And that's one of the big difference that we're going to be able to see. And now, so why the Playwright recorder isn't enough? And obviously, Dali, if you want to jump in and add anything else. Now, many of you have probably tried the Playwright recorder. Let me just get all the text here. Wait 1 second. All right. So you've used a Playwright recorder, and it's great for quick examples or smoke tests because it records what you click and turns into a code, right? But for real test automation, it has some big limitations. For example, first, the recorder doesn't know anything about your project. It doesn't use your helpers, your selectors, your fixtures, none of that. It just writes raw code from scratch. And then second, the tests it creates are often fragile. If a button or a layout changes even slightly, those things break right away. And then finally, the recorder doesn't understand testing strategy. It can follow your patterns or your team's best practices. This is why the recorder is helpful for simple demos, but not enough for real automation work.
And I want to chime in here, Rebecca. So basically, the recorder creates snippets of code. It doesn't create a full-blown Playwright project, which means the snippets of code still need a test automation engineer to plug them into the right place, to connect them, to call on all sorts of existing functionality that has already been implemented, like steps and so forth in the project. So it's really, it sort of creates snippets of code, but then all of the work of integrating that into a live project stays with the automation engineer. What we'll see later on is that the AI actually takes full responsibility. So it's able not just to create the lines of code, but actually to fully integrate them into the project because it understands the Playwright project and it actually manages it. So you can think about it as a super brain that created the Playwright project and then is able to plug in all sorts of changes into it in context. So it's able to call on implementations of steps that have already been done. It's able to tie in all sorts of parameters and parameterized data that is created and so forth. All of that additional level of intelligence is what the AI brings to the table compared to what you might see today with the standard Playwright recorder.
Awesome. And how we're calling it the Playwright plus AI, the winning combo. This is where Playwright and AI together make such a big difference. For example, AI can actually read and understand your Playwright project. It automatically uses your existing selectors, your utilities, your functions, everything your team has already built. So the tests the AI creates, they're not random scripts. They look exactly as if the tests were written by your own team, right? So there's no duplication, no black box code, nothing strange or unfamiliar. It's just everything stays Playwright native. It fits right into your current CI/CD pipeline. And this means onboarding faster, test coverage goes up, and teams work evidently more efficiently.
And I want to point out one of the things that we see with our customers on this. Many of the customers, even shift left customers, where the coding itself is not an issue, point out that one of the big benefits of the AI test engineer is that it actually standardizes the project and the inputs into the project in a way that you don't have anymore the issue that one person wrote like this, the other one didn't know that a certain implementation of a certain functionality or step has already been done. So we didn't call on it and duplicated another implementation. All of that just doesn't exist because the AI test engineer, whoever works with it, actually enjoys the fact that it fully knows what everyone else on your team has already done and submitted into the project. So it's this really super mind that supervises anything that goes into the Playwright project, and it makes sure that it is written and calls on all the functionality in the most efficient way.
Yes. And then let's go to what everyone is looking for, speed. And thankfully, we're going to see this in a couple of minutes. Avnesh is going to go through and he's going to show what can happen in 2 minutes or less, right? So this is one of the things that people love the most. Obviously, like I mentioned, the speed, and creating tests with AI usually takes about 2 minutes, sometimes even less, and you'll see it. And the best part is that you can guide the AI however you prefer. You can click through the flow. You can describe what you want in simple language, or you can ask AI to actually suggest the ideas and build them for you. And after that, the AI handles the rest inside your Playwright project. your job basically becomes focusing on what really matters, what needs to be tested instead of writing step-by-step code.
And I want to point here that clicking through a flow is very powerful because it's right. And I know that today, also when the Playwright themselves released an AI agent, but I think one of the big advantages of clicking through a flow compared to trying to describe things in language is that you can be specific so much when you describe in language a very complex flow against a complex web UI. And at the end of the day, one of the things that we found out is that it is easier and quicker actually to click through a flow. And afterwards, if you want to chat with the AI to make changes, rather than try to pre-guess how to describe to the AI the whole flow, and then leave it, with it to try and figure it out, which it usually doesn't. So this combination of clicking through the flow, and then being able to chat and prompt the AI to make any changes if you wish, like complex logic, like repeating something a few times and then checking something. All of that type of additional level of complexity can be done through chatting with the AI. But the initial flow, we found it most efficient to be with a click through.
Okay, let's get to it. So let's now start talking about maintenance, right? Probably the biggest pain point for every testing team. Normally when UI changes, test break, right? So sometimes you have to pause your work or go in and update locators, fix selectors, and make sure everything works again. So AI completely changes this experience. It understands the structure of your project and it updates the test automatically. Again, like I've mentioned a couple of times, you'll see that live with Savnesh. And then the AI uses the selectors and functions that already exist in your project. So everything stays consistent. This means, you were going to add something, Tal?
Yeah, no, I want to also, sure. In addition to the maintenance, also it's important because it's also a big pain point, the analytics. So a lot of the people, come in the morning and they see, oh no, we ran whatever, 1,000, 2,000 tests, 100 of them failed. How do you go about figuring out what was the issue? And today there is a lot of work just collecting logs, trying to cross-refer system and network logs and API calls and so forth. And all of that is actually now done seamlessly by the AI. So it's both the analytics as well as the maintenance, which is a very big, both significantly cuts short the time it takes to figure out what needs to be fixed, what relates to what, and also provide you a level of scale in terms of the ability to run many, many tests and have all of this done in the background seamlessly.
Yeah, definitely. The AI analytics basically tells you right away what was the issue. No need for you to start looking for the problem to solve it. All right. So going back to the maintenance, this will obviously mean fewer broken tests, less frustration from the team and obviously for yourself, and more time focusing on real quality rather than fixing the same things over and over again. So it's maintenance that just happens basically on its own. Right. And I think we are ready. Is there anything else that you want to add?
I think let's jump into it. Let's just see.
Let's jump into it.
Yeah. Savnesh, go for it.
Yep.
Thank
you, Rebecca.
Stop sharing my screen, Savnesh, so you can share yours. That's it.
Let me know if you see my screen. Should come up any moment.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. So what you see on the screen is my Blink.io account, and I have a brand new project here. It's called as Joe Demo. And as part of this demo, we'll be creating tests for Salesforce. So that's my application under test. And the only thing I've done is added my Salesforce account password and also two-factor authentication to this test data page. And with that, I'm ready to start automating my test. So I'll click this AI button, which launches the AI recorder here, as you can see. So the AI recorder is a Windows or Mac app, And it's also available as a web version if your website is accessible from the internet. So with this open, let me start automating my test. So I can right away start clicking through. So logging in. I have my password here, encrypted. I need a two-factor OTP, so I can generate that also with Blink. I can add the master key and it will generate the OTP. And I go to the accounts page. I click on the new button. As part of this test, I'm creating a new account. Let me enter a few fields here. Phone number, and then this drop down as well, and click save. And so I'm testing this account creation. So in the end, I want to add an assertion as well. So under account, I should see Microsoft. That's my assertion. And that's it. That is my test created. So the AI recorder understood what I was doing. It generated test steps for my action. User logs in with username and password, verifies the identity with verification code, goes to the accounts page, goes to the new account creation page, fills the account name, account number in the account form, and we have an assertion as well. And so we also have the AI test engineer has also parameterized all of our test data, username, password, verification code, account name, account number, phone number. We can very easily make test data dynamic as well. So for example, random account name here, random company name for account name. We could do that. And I can now save the test. And this is when it will fully prepare the Playwright project and commit it to my Git repository. Okay, so I'll show the code and then I'll run the test. Just a moment. So yeah, let me bring up the other window that we had. Okay, so if we come back here, just a moment, let me check something. Yep. So if we see here on the features page, we have one test created now. This is the test that we just automated. And we can see these are our test steps, the business level description and the test data. And the AI test engineer also automated this test, generated the Playwright JavaScript code, and it committed that to your Git repository. So if I refresh this here, this is the Git repository. So there is no vendor lock-in with Blink.io. Whatever code is generated lives in your Git repository. And if you want to look at the code on your local system, you can also click this 3 dot and click on Open in VS Code. And that basically clones the code from your Git repo to this local system and opens up the code editor, whatever you have. Like for example, in this case, it's VS Code. And we can see the code generated here. So what you see here is a complete Playwright JavaScript project. It's a node-based project. Under features, you have the Gherkin feature file that we saw, given, when, then, and the test data. And for each of these given, when, then steps, you have JavaScript code written by the AI test engineer. And when the AI test engineer is writing code, it reuses steps and locators and functions wherever possible. If you already automated some steps, it also generates multiple locators per element. For example, if we take this button, it has 4 or 5 locators for that. So even if 4 of these failed, it still has the 5th locator to fall back on. So there is a lot of resiliency built into these tests. And it's all following a very high standard of coding. Everything is well commented, well written, well structured. And it's all in a structured format. And all of this, the AI test engineer did it in like 2 minutes, right? And the more tests you add, the more it will maintain or add to this project and reuse wherever possible. So it takes care of doing all of the maintenance. You never need to look at this code if you don't want to. Yeah? And it all lives in your Git repository as well. So you fully own the code. Let me run this test and I'll show you how it runs. I click this blue play button and it starts running my test here. You can see we are executing the test. We are executing whatever steps we recorded. goes to the accounts page, clicks on the new button, fills in this form. I had made the account name as a random one. You can see it generated a new company name for that. This one. So we're simply executing the code that we generated when using the AI recorder with the AI, right? We simply executed that code. And for each execution of your test, you have a report as well. So if you go to the reports page, you will have the test run report. So this is my test name. If I go inside and if I start expanding these steps given when then, I can see that first under the first step, the login step, we first filled in the username and then the password and so on and so forth. So you have screenshots for each of your actions that you automated, right? And you also have console logs. If your application is throwing any console errors, that also show up here. In this case, we have one error, but the test still passed. You can see here, this was the test data as well. The AI test engineer also captures network logs, and it uses that to like train itself about your application. So it learns about your applications through this network logs, screenshots and stuff. Yeah. So you also have the full console output, and you can also download video and trace of the test. So that functionality is also there. So this is how it looks like. You use the AI recorder to automate the test, and it takes you under 5 minutes. And you have the code generated, a fully fledged Playwright JavaScript project, and you can run these tests and you get reports. You can also run these tests in the Blink.io cloud or in your third-party CI/CD pipelines as well. Okay. So let me now talk about the AI recovery. So if in future, if this test fails, the AI will be able to automatically recover it. So let me show you what I mean by test when the test fails. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to push a new UI change to this Salesforce form. So if I go back to my features page here and rerun the test, I'm going to do that now. So this time, this account form has fully changed. When we run the test, we won't see this account form, we'll see something else. So let me show you what happens then. So you can see so far it's the same execution that we did before. We're logging in. Then we go to the accounts page. But when you click on the new button here, we don't see the form that we saw before. We see a completely different form with different locators, different layout, different structure, and all of that. Yeah. So it's this form looks nothing like this. So the code HTML of the my app has changed. So the current automation code that we have won't work for this UI. So the test will fail, but then we'll see how the AI analyzes the failure and recovers the test. So the test failed because even though we had multiple locators for that page, none of them worked. So the AI test engineer is starting the AI recovery now. It will relaunch the browser and see we have the browser back here. It will first go to that page where the test failed. So it knows that the test failed at that form fill step. So it first navigates there. Yeah, and once it comes here, it starts analyzing the page, starts understanding what's changed, what do I need to do, and it will start writing new code. It's basically generating new Playwright JavaScript code that executes on this UI now. You can see it doing that one by one here. First filled in the account name. And then it will fill in the account number, so on and so forth. So if you were running these tests in your pipelines, in your CI/CD, and if for say like tens of those tests are failing, all 10 tests would be recovered in the same like few minutes that it takes for one test. So this what I'm trying to say is this recovery can also happen in parallel for multiple tests at once. So this is almost done. The AI test engineer is almost done recovering the test. Yeah. So once the recovery is complete, all we need to do is go to our Blink.io account and review what the AI did. So you don't need to review the code or anything. You review the generation based on the screenshots and either accept or reject the fix. So let me go back to my account. We'll first wait for it to like upload the fix here. Yeah. So if we go back to our account now, so we will have received an email that this test had failed and the AI has fixed it. And if you come to this code review tab, this is where you can see that the AI has suggested a fix, AI code fix for this test. If we go to the reports page, we can see that if we go inside this report, we can see initially the test failed because of the issue where the account name input had changed. It knows why it failed. It has a reason for retraining. And then the retraining or the AI recovery, if you see that, the AI was able to fix the test. Let me try this again. Yeah. You can see here, the AI was able to fix the test. And if I come in here, that's when if I click view the report, it points me to the same report. So once I review the failure report and also this fix report, then I could come in here and accept the fix. Yeah. And my this will merge the code to my repo, and the next executions of the same test will start passing because now we have the fix integrated into the test. Okay. So this is the major life cycle of a test. You automate it using the AI recorder, you run it, and whenever it fails, the AI fixes it, and you review the fix through reports, and then you accept the fix. Okay. I would also like to cover a couple of more things. If you relaunch the recorder, let's say you are recording more tests now, the recorder also has some advanced functionalities. Here, let me wait for it to load. For example, if I've already automated the login step, so I don't need to do that again. I can come in here in the recorder and directly reuse the login step, maybe change the parameters. And now I'm reusing steps without duplicating them. And it's also performing them for me. So it saves me time when I'm recording new steps. Yeah. And you can also do stuff like add API calls, add sleeps, or conditional wait, or different types of assertions as well. I showed you just one example, but we have like different types of assertions available. And if something is not available in the recorder, like you want to do something very complicated or custom, and that's not in the recorder, what you can do is go back here and directly chat with the AI to implement something. For example, let's say, let's take an example here, login, right? So we have the login here. Let's say I can chat here to give it a custom requirement. For example, fetch the login username and password from a database. Database URI is localhost :3306. And we'll say it's a MySQL database here. Table is users. And the columns we need to fetch data from our username and password. This is just an example. So you can give any custom requirement here, which is not supported in the recorder, like fetching data from a database, or reading a file, writing a file. And you can see here the AI test engineer writes code for you. It imports whatever packages that are required and writes the MySQL connection, writes the SQL query. Yep. So I can now test this execution, test the changes without accepting the changes first. Once it runs fine, that is when I can save the changes. So this way you will be able to chat with the AI and also implement custom requirements that you have as well. Yeah. So this is the major demo. We can start taking questions now, Tali. Tali, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I think we can start with the questions, I suppose.
Yep.
Awesome.
Sure. I'll stop sharing my screen. We can take questions here.
All right.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Awesome demo as always. So I guess I'll look at the chat really quick. Someone wants to know, Mike wants to know, does the AI write exclusively in Gherkin feature files? And you're all muted.
It looks like nobody looks like Sabnesh left or dropped or something.
Sorry, no. Let me turn my, I just had to get something for a minute. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Oh.
So sorry, Mike wants to know, does the AI write exclusively in Gherkin feature files?
Yes. So there are two parts to it, right? First, the Playwright JavaScript code. So you need a way to assemble this into test cases. You usually use things like Mocha or something else, but we use Cucumber Gherkin files, Gherkin, to assemble the code into test steps. Because there with Gherkin, you also have business level, high level step representation for your code. So we see that it works well with the AI as well, like having a description of the code as well as the code to go along with it. So it does use Gherkin. Yeah.
Great. Once again, in the chat, I don't want to speak for Blink.io. They want to know any reason why JavaScript was chosen and not Python or TypeScript. I just assumed that was the most popular one to start with, but any thoughts on Python or TypeScript? Are they on the roadmap or anything?
Yeah, when so they are on the roadmap. We first decided with JavaScript because, frankly, it was easier to implement. Today's LLMs are very good at JavaScript. That's one of the main reasons. Yeah.
Great. All right, let me go to the actual questions. I'm looking at the chat because sometimes people don't know how to use the questions. But first one is, which framework is good for Playwright?
So we generate Cucumber.js with Playwright and JavaScript. So in general, we think that it works well, but it's also, if you're asking in general, there are also other options, other combinations you could use with Playwright, like Mocha and others, which also work fairly well. Yeah.
Great. I thought Playwright is a framework on its own.
It is. From what I know, so Playwright generates lines of code for you, scripts for what you can automate. But when you want to combine it with a full-blown project where you have multiple test cases to define and assemble your tests into features and feature suites, and have functionalities like before and after, you need to pair it with another library, which lets you define suites and features and test cases. Yeah. We use Gherkin for that. Yeah.
Nice. Or I think I know the answer. Just use Blink.io. But how do I set up Playwright from scratch? Also, how can I configure my environment?
Yeah. So Playwright does have a very nice.
Sorry.
But in sorry.
Sorry. Something happened. We're good.
Yeah. So if you were to start setting up Playwright from scratch, then you'll have to use the getting started and then decide on a framework to like write your tests like Mocha or Gherkin, and then start adding your libraries like Faker and API libraries. So it will take you a couple of hours to get set up, and then you will maybe start thinking about automation, and then you will think about how do I write it? How do I write which locators to choose? So it is all in all a few hours work to get to a starting work. But with Blink.io, as you saw, it does all of that in like minutes. So you could give Blink a try and see what the Playwright project it generates for you is as per your expectations or not. Yeah.
All right. So just a question.
I think that's, just sorry for chiming in, but I think that's a fundamental point. That's one of the big differences between, for example, the Playwright Recorder and what Blink does. So Blink is really a fully functional AI test engineer. It does everything from setting up the Playwright configuration, setting up the project, defining all the settings. There is nothing actually that the user needs to do in terms of setting up the environment and so forth. The minute you start using, everything is done by the AI test engineer, including the environment setup.
Are they black box though? If they use this solution, if they say they use the freemium version to create a test, is this a good way to start? And are they? Is it a black box, or they can use it without Blink.io for some reason something happens?
Nothing is black box in Blink.io. All of the code is the user's code. It's all the standard Playwright code. So you can basically copy paste the code or just have it in your own Git. And regardless of Blink.io is just, for that matter, you can think about it as a professional service of somebody that comes and creates everything for you. But at the end of the day, you own the Playwright code that is generated, and you can execute it by your own, from your CI/CD locally, whatever, regardless of Blink.
Awesome. Everyone has to check it out. Like I said, I think that's an awesome feature. I always mention it, but that's because I think it's awesome. All right, next question is, how does the AI handle the waits between actions? From my experience, it fails to capture these waits if only you use a recorder.
Yeah, so Playwright has intelligent weights built in. So it's not like Selenium where you have to define weights by yourself and then it fails if it doesn't. So you already have that built in a way. But with our AI recorder, you can also define fluent weights or custom weights if you'd like. For example, wait for this element to appear before I perform this action. So that way you are waiting only as much as it needs for that, only as long as it takes for that page to load and then proceed. But by default, also there are waits configured, which let you record something fairly easily, and it should work. Yep.
I think Tal mentioned something like this briefly. How does Blink.io differ from the new Playwright's AI agents, Planner, Generator, and Healer?
So I think at the end of the day, we believe that the combination of being able to interact and show the flow or walk through the flow with the AI recorder, and then be able to tweak anything you want with chatting with the AI agent is the best combination. We did not, from our experience, and we've been in this market working on this product for the past 2 years, we didn't see that just describing stuff textually has good success with the LLM engines. Their ability to interact and figure out complex digital environments is limited. And most of these descriptions, I'm not talking about some basic demos, but if you really want to create something complex, login flows with data entries, with verifying API calls and all of that, it doesn't work with just, writing stories. And that's why, in Blink, you do the walkthrough on the flow like a regular user. It generates all the project code, and then you can chat with it to make changes. For example, add some complex logic, to run something several times, check something and so forth, but not the full flow. We didn't see that being too successful by trying to describe it in English.
Selenium PaLM focuses on separating locators and actions, but Playwright promotes test flows and user journeys. How should we re-architect our frameworks and moving from Selenium PaLM to Playwright with AI-based automation?
Yeah, this is a good question. So what we suggest our customers is that since with the AI recorder, the automation time is so less, you could simply use the AI recorder and start from scratch. And the AI test engineer takes care of organizing the tests into flows based on your actions for you. So you don't need to worry about it. But if you do need to migrate over your Selenium to Playwright, and you want to keep your existing fixtures or JavaScript utilities or reusable functions, then there is a more roundabout way of doing it. We do support that as well. Yeah. But we suggest simply use the AI recorder to automate tests and get done with it, because it is so quick. It is very quick with that.
Awesome. Okay. How does Blink.io get past OTP?
Yeah, so the OTP that we have is called as a one-time TOTP. It's a time-based one-time password. So it is something that you might use with, you might have seen getting used with Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator. It's an OTP that changes every 30 seconds, and it is generated using a master key. So whichever websites has this OTP login, when you are setting it up, it asks you to like scan the QR code and stuff like that, right? So this QR code is basically the master key. You can add this master key in Blink, and that way Blink will be able to generate the TOTP for you using that master key. It's a replacement for you going into your Authenticator app, copying and pasting the OTP. It's a replacement for that. Yeah.
Is it safe or secure to use Playwright's MCP servers?
It should be, but I don't have much experience with the MCP. I have used it a bit, but not extensively. Yep.
Does AI delete useful code during maintenance?
No, it doesn't. So as we saw, it creates a merge request and it replaces code that failed before. So you have full control over what gets replaced or what gets removed when it fixes things. It doesn't replace code that was working. It shouldn't. And also, since it's all Git based, you also have source control. You can always go back and bring back something if you think it was removed by mistake.
What if we have to consolidate the steps for login into a separate single step or method to use in other scenarios? It's like reusability.
Sure. So,
I think they're afraid of. Yeah.
Right. So you could do that. In the AI recorder, you can easily drag and drop steps onto one another. So that way it merges those steps. And you can also, as I showed you, you can also import steps into a new recording. If you're recording a new test, you can reuse an existing step, like the same login step. You can do that.
Blink.io is open source?
So Blink, the AI test engineer, writes code using Playwright and Cucumber and JavaScript. All of these technologies are open source, and the code lives in the customer's repository. So customer has full access to the code. So in that way, we generate the code. The automation code is open source stack. But the Blink.io app itself, the technology is not open source. Yeah.
All the awesome AI piece bits that we probably want. Is learning model shared or depends client by client?
So we have 3 deployment options. One is the normal SaaS, which is like a shared tenant, which still has boundaries built in. So data isn't shared between projects or customers. You also have single tenant deployment where we do a private deployment for you. Or we also have an on-prem option, which is like for more enterprise customers who have special needs. Tali, you're on mute if you're speaking. We're not.
Yeah, sorry. I think they might have also been referring to the training of the model itself. So we're not training the model on the on your application or anything. The model does create a RAG model based on what it understands on your application, which it uses only for your work itself. But the LLM model itself is for that purpose generally trained. It's not anything that is trained on your data or anything like that. We don't use any of your data. So that is very, by the way, the product itself is SOC 2 and ISO 27001 certified. So in terms of which data or what is being used, we basically everything stays within your boundaries, and the LLM engine is working based on general training, not on anything that's specific to your data.
Excellent. So in that regard, Tal, maybe I'm wrong. Does that make it more secure than just the open source Playwright MCP servers, or is that it's nothing to do with that?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how they work. I can tell you that for us, we basically pass any enterprise security requirement, both by the fact that it's just SOC 2 and ISO certifying that we're not using or actually even taking out of the boundaries of your organization any data. But also the fact that we have an on-prem option and a single tenant option, which provide, customers the ability to have a fully self-contained environment in the single tenant, or an environment which is not just self-contained, but also deployed on premise on their own hardware. So any one of those levels of security is offered.
What is the quality of flaky fixes in the context of fix only when needed? In other cases, reported as a bug. Does it know what's really a bug and what's really a flake?
Yeah, it does. So if it recognizes the issue as a bug, it won't recover it. But even in some cases where it does recognize, because sometimes it can be tricky to recognize, right? A bug can not seem as a bug and a UI change. At that time, even if it fixes something and suggests a fix, it's a good thing that it doesn't merge anything right away. It asks you to review. And at that moment, you can classify it as a bug again if it doesn't automatically classify something as a bug. So you could do that.
And also, I think that the fact, what Sapnesh mentioned before, which is critical, it's never a black box. It doesn't just do stuff just based on what it understands. It does and suggests what it understands, but there is always a human in the loop that at the end of the day says, okay, yes, this is really, it's good you found this bug and we're going to, route it to the R&D, or yes, you actually fixed an automation maintenance issue and that's good. There is always a person at the end point to approve. And if you have, full confidence in it, you can release that level of control, but you always have this. It's not just running around crazy, changing your code. You have no idea what's going on and, you just hope it's doing the right stuff.
So are you handling locators separately in JSON files? Yeah.
Locators are mainly in the JavaScript files. The JSON files, what you saw, were for some other purposes. The AI recorder uses them to automatically switch and generate the code. They're mainly for the AI recorder. They aren't used during execution, or they aren't part of the actual test. It's for the recorder. You can ignore those. Yeah.
What type of errors can AI fix?
So, whatever you automate, the UI actions, the UI flows or steps, if those fails, that is what the AI can fix. For example, navigating to a page, filling a form, clicking the button, doing any action, right? However, whatever assertions that you add, like verify this is on the page, verify this. So assertions is, if the assertions fail, the test fails. So the AI won't change your assertions, so to say. It will only try to fix what you automated, the actions, not the assertions.
Okay. Does AI can you use this AI for Flutter application test?
Now, Flutter, if I understand correctly, it's the mobile applications. We don't support mobile yet. It's only web for now, web and API testing.
How much does it cost in tokens price to have the AI features? Is there a way to try it out, a sandbox or a workspace to experiment with my page and test it?
We're not pricing it based on tokens. I mean, we're basically any costs associated. It's a SaaS solution, so all of the infrastructure costs, including the tokens for the AI calls, is basically absorbed by us. We basically price it. First of all, you have the freemium version, which is up to 5 scenarios, but then you can add scenarios, and we basically price it per the number of scenarios you have. So as long as you have a certain number of scenarios, and whatever you do with it, you might be changing it all the time. You might be executing whatever. That doesn't count. All that counts is the number of scenarios.
And I must say, it's transparent pricing. So if you went to their pricing page, they actually list pricing, which if you've been doing automation for a while, it's kind of rare. So there's nothing hidden here. So if you want to learn more, definitely, like I said, we'll send links up, but definitely check out the pricing page if that's something you're interested in. All right, next up is what plugins or RS Visual Studio is used in this project?
No plugins. So Visual Studio Code, VS Code, what you saw is just an editor that we use to open the code generated. You could also use other editors. That's it. We don't use any plugins.
The cost for license, like I said, we already answered that. How resilient is the AI agent? Is it going to slow running apps for the AI agent?
Can you bring up the question, please? I don't see it.
Yeah, waiting for it to update here. Second, let me do this. Yeah.
Against a slow running app. So with slow running apps, what we've seen is it's when you're recording a test, it's helpful to add fluent waits. For example, wait until this element appears. So that way you're not relying on the default timeouts, which are reasonable timeouts. But if your app is taking a longer time than that, we suggest using the fluent waits, like wait for page to load, or this button to appear or disappear, steps like that. It is possible to do that in the AI recorder.
All right, in the chat, that's the first time I've heard this term, is FedRAMP. That's Federal Risk and Authorization Management Program, a security assessment. I don't know, Tal, do you know anything about FedRAMP? Is this FedRAMP approved?
Yeah. We actually have a FedRAMP customer. So for FedRAMP customers, we don't have the FedRAMP certification. What we do is just we have an on-prem deployment, and the on-prem deployment is basically on components that are all FedRAMP approved. So there is no issue for federal customers to actually deploy this on premise.
Great. Can it automate APIs too?
Yep.
Boom. I think this, is there any support setup that allows the recorder to work with apps behind VPNs or internal firewalls?
Yes, it does. Yeah. So you can configure your proxies, or if you have very stringent network, you can also whitelist Blink.io IPs with the help of your IT team and get us unlocked and do it that way. So you can do that. Yeah.
Can you use it for mobile apps?
No, not yet. It's only web for today. Web and API.
The demo is showing seems to have a simple data flow. How does recording work for tests that have multiple data variants, negative cases, in an efficient way?
Yeah, I showed a simpler flow today, but you can record as complex as you want with different types of data requirements. It should be supported. We have on our YouTube a few examples where we record longer scenarios and stuff. Maybe you can check them out. Yeah.
Okay. Without writing any script or code, how will it test any web application?
Yeah, as we showed using the AI recorder, you just perform your steps in the browser once, and it will write code for you, script and code.
Okay. I use Playwright with DoAI since our government entity doesn't allow it. Sensitive docs. Can I run I think it's Blink.io on-prem without any part of it reaching the cloud?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
All right, that was part one. Part two.
The on-prem deployment is totally, you can disconnect it from the internet. It's not, you don't need any external access.
All right, I know you said we have a hard stop, so let's actually, all the questions we have time for though. Before we go then, once again, everyone's saying great demo. Any parting words of wisdom before we go?
Hope to see you guys trying out the product and giving us any type of feedback. If you need any help, we're more than happy to meet you one-on-one and assist with anything required. Thank you very much, Joe.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Great stuff.
Thank you, Joe. And for everyone who's based in the US, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's right. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye. Right, awesome stuff. If there's any unanswered questions, a lot of times Blink.io will answer them and we'll send them in an email. So yes, this is being recorded. I'll send a recording in a day or so, along with all the links to anything you may have missed. But if you could do me one last favor, one quick last favor, if you can just take this last poll, it's just I think it's like 4 quick questions. It's a web survey to let us know how we did, how we can make things better, just to rate it, and we'd appreciate it. And I think that's all. Let me look at the comments here. Thank you, everyone, for all your participation, all your chats. Really, round of applause for you. Thank you, Blink.io, for supporting the Guild with this awesome sessions every month. Thank you, everyone, for your questions, your Q&A. All right, so I'm going to fade to black, but if you could do me one last favor and take that last survey, I'll keep it running for a little bit. And as always, it's everything to keep the good. We'll see you here next time. Cheers.
Are you running through your domain? Guild members, assemble. This is your moment. Back to the tester starts now. We're the crew that breaks the build before the build breaks you. Chasing bugs through the matrix like we always do. From Selenium days to the AI age. Test Guild still here, leveling up the stage. We got testers, engineers, devs in the zone. Pulling coverage from the cloud like we built our own throne. Every sprint, every push, every deploy we ride. Quality's the mission and the Guild's worldwide. Turn the lights down, crank the CI up. Automation Guild is how you fill your cup. Learning tools, deep dives, all in one place. Heroes of testing, welcome to your base. Hey, we're the Test Guild, turn the power on. Hey, quality warriors from dusk till dawn. AI DevOps, testing strong, we rise and build. Welcome to the future, welcome to the Guild, welcome to the Guild Tech. Welcome to the future, welcome to the Guild Tech. Raise your badges, raise your shield. Automation legends, this is our field. 5 days deep dives, yeah, that's the deal. Back to the tester, powered by Test Guild. From playwright heat to CSED flow, from performance labs to the chaos, we know we tame flaky slice, dead fight, drift with skill. When the pipeline shake, the Guild stand still. YouTube, Dadcast, webinars live. We bring the tools that help your team thrive. Vendors, leaders, experts align. Guild members win every single time. Got the know-how, got the crew. Every session drops something brand new. Testers unite, this is where we grow. Guild power rising, ready, let's go. Hey, with a Test Guild, turn the power on. Hey, quality warriors from dusk till dawn. AI DevOps, testing strong, we rise and build. Welcome to the future, welcome to the Guild, welcome to the future. Welcome to the Guild, welcome to the Guild. Hey, raise your badges, raise your shield. Automation legends, this is our field. 5 days deep dives, yeah, that's the deal. Back to the tester, powered by Test Guild. Guildbot online, test generated, flaky's terminated, pipelines elevated, automation status, good level, drop the code, drop the doubt, quality in, outages out, turn your sprint into overdrive. Test Guild's the spark that keeps teams alive. Hey, we're the Test Guild, ignite the stage, building futures in the AI age. Knowledge, community, skills fulfill. Back to the tester, back to the Guild, back to the tester, back to the Guild, back to the Guild. In a realm where codes reside, heroes rise on a quest they've tried to conquer bugs and vanquish fears. Their weapons are the ones nobody hears. With keyboards clashing and systems hum, they navigate through realms, never stopping. Dungeons dark, they test with might, defending the kingdom, bringing light. Code Crusaders unite as one. Automation warriors, let's get it done. With techno beats and a D&D vibe, we march forward In a world of ones and zeros where the glitches never sleep, there's a guild of testers uncovering secrets deep. They're not afraid of change, they embrace the unknown, coding up the storm, paving the way for what's to come. They break the barriers with automation as the guide, testing every byte, they won't let bugs hide. They're the heroes of the virtual, the guardians of code, building a future where testing is their ode. Test build, oh test build, was a QA, guiding us through the complexities that come our way. With automation in your hands, you make the impossible real. Test build, oh test build, let's automate and reveal. Zero touch activated. Let's vibe test. We used to grind for weeks just to get one test to run. Locators breaking every build. Yeah, the struggle wasn't fun, but the future just arrived, and it's faster than your sprint. AI in the cockpit, now your test that's getting rinsed. Spin it up, point it in, watch it rage, your whole flow. Build your suite in seconds flat while your story's still unload. Play right on the launchpad, AI fuel inside the tank. Coverage climbs instantly, no more patches, scripts that sank. Zero touch, let it run, let it vibe, let it go. I test, spinning up while your pipeline grows. On board fast, minute flat, watch it map every page. This is vibe test mode, welcome to the new age. Zero touch automation, yeah, we're breaking the mold. Blink.io in the lab, turning test suites gold. Drop the code, drop the stress, drop the old school pain. This is auto-generated fire running through your domain.